Most of us played with action figures or dolls when we were kids. But despite the fond memories that we have, why is it that some think of dolls as so terrifying? Even in the media, horror films, books, TV shows, and more have explored the dread that the vacant, glassy stare of a doll can cause in us. More than any other type of toy, dolls hold a special place in this type of horror fiction. From Annabelle to Chucky, audiences pay money to watch stories of possessed children's toys play out on the big screen. But what if I told you that such stories are actually based on real events? Today we're going to dive into 5 real cases of possessed dolls that will terrify you. Mandy. In 1991, an anonymous donor gave a strange doll to the Quesnel Museum in British Columbia. The doll was named Mandy, and experts believe that it was around 70 years old at the time. Mandy was clothed in a white dress and shoes, but it was her face that the donor had found so disconcerting. Covered in scratches, the vacant stare of the doll had unnerved the donor from the moment that she had discovered it locked away inside of a trunk. No doubt that it was kept there for several decades by the donor's deceased grandmother. The original donor could not bear to look at the doll as it made them uncomfortable, and so they donated it to the museum to get rid of it. Mandy was first stored overnight in the museum's lab where she was due to have pictures taken for archival purposes. When the staff returned to the lab the next morning, it was in disarray, as if someone had angrily thrown equipment around. Mandy was placed inside a glass display case after that, and the museum staff had given her a small stuffed toy lamb to brighten the display. The next day, the lamb was found on the floor outside the display case. In fact, many frightening incidences have been connected to Mandy, including visitors reporting that her eyes follow them as they walk past. Footsteps have also been heard near her display, and electrical equipment such as video camera malfunctions regularly occur around her. Though it hasn't been verified, a psychic claimed that Mandy once belonged to 2 sisters who died. Their mother was so grief-stricken that the doll absorbed this negative energy and now has taken on a personality of its own. Letta. There's a common thread regarding haunted or possessed dolls, and it's that they're often found hidden away from the world. It's as though each doll's previous owner had to imprison them in order to keep others safe. Nearly 50 years ago in Wagga Wagga, Australia, one such doll was discovered buried under a house. The doll's owner, Carrie Walton, maintains that Letta is the source of several frightening paranormal incidences. The first sign that something was wrong with the doll was when Carrie discovered strange scuff marks on the floor around his home. He couldn't understand what was making these weird patterns until he heard the unmistakable sound of wooden footsteps moving around at night. After another incident when Letta moved by himself in front of a guest, and household objects were being moved when no one else was around, it became clear that the doll had a mind of its own. On more than one occasion, Carrie's own children woke up screaming that Letta had entered their room and was staring at them. One theory behind Letta's abilities is that the doll is possessed by a ghost of a young girl who drowned 200 years ago, around the time that Letta was made. Carrie has tried to throw the doll away, but something unseen and powerful always prevents him from doing so. La Pascualita. Standing in a shop window in Chihuahua, Mexico is a beautiful yet unsettling figure of La Pascualita. This lifelike mannequin dressed in a wedding gown was installed back there in the 1930s, and for more than 80 years her presence has frightened and intrigued visitors in equal measure. It was the original shop owner who had La Pascualita placed in the window. Locals were immediately struck by how much the mannequin looked like the shopkeeper's daughter. This was particularly ominous because the daughter had died after being bitten by a poisonous spider. Rumors swirled around that the mannequin doll was actually made out of the preserved body of the daughter. This belief strengthened over the years as visitors noticed the unique details in the mannequin's hands and face, far beyond anything usually seen in a bridal shop. Since then, those working with the mannequin have said that the doll changes positions of its own accord. Another rumor is that the mannequin is indeed a doll, but that an occult practitioner fell in love with her and, through a series of rituals, attempted to bring her to life, but failed. Now she's trapped between life and death, neither human nor doll. Patty Reed's doll. During an arduous trek to California in 1846, the Reed family and their fellow travelers were desperately trying to negotiate difficult terrain before a freezing cold winter would envelop them and make passage impossible. All non-essential belongings were abandoned to help lighten the load in the hope that the journey would be made quicker. However, little Patty Reed, only 8 years old at the time, smuggled away her favorite possession in the world, a beautiful China doll. Unfortunately, winter set in, and Patty and her family would become part of the infamous Donner Party, who were forced to cannibalize anyone who perished in the cold in order to survive. Thankfully, Patty did make it to California eventually, carrying her little doll. That same doll is now housed in Sutter's Fort, Sacramento, and the macabre history of it has led to rumors of a paranormal nature. Some believe that the doll has become a vessel for all the pain and horror that befell the Donner Party. Visitors who look upon the doll claim that they feel a sense of dread and desperation so profound that it might unravel anyone who has a fragile mind. The Wooden Man. Egeskov Castle on the Danish island of Funen is home to one of the strangest dolls in existence, and it's believed to carry a curse so profound that to move the doll would cause the castle to sink into a watery grave. The castle itself is built in the 16th century and has been home to the same family since 1784. For generations, that family has known about the doll and its curse. The doll can be found in the attic of the highest spire in the castle. It lies on top of a cushion in the rafters, resting in the center of the room beneath a web of cold wooden beams. No one knows who placed the doll, also known as the Wooden Man, in that attic, but the curse states that if he's moved, then the castle will fall into the surrounding moat on Christmas night. A previous countess allowed the doll to be moved once, but witnesses claim that the castle began to creak and shake, and so the doll was placed back in the center of the room. Some believe that the Wooden Man is possessed by the spirit of its previous owner, and so the family leaves food for the doll each Christmas in the hopes that this will make the doll feel welcome and keep them safe as they enjoy the festivities. Others have suggested that the doll is imprisoned in the castle, kept there to stop its evil from being unleashed upon the world. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, come join me on twitch.tv where I'm probably live right now. Tap here to catch up on my recent uploads and tap here for a similar video to this one. I'll see you soon.